The 1974 United States quarter dollar is part of the Washington Quarter Series, one of the most widely circulated coins in American history, originally introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. However, unlike the earliest versions that were composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, the 1974 issue, like all quarters minted from 1965 onward, was made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, resulting in a total weight of 5.67 grams and a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, with a reeded edge designed to discourage clipping or shaving of precious metal in earlier centuries. On the obverse, sculpted by John Flanagan based on Jean-Antoine Houdon's 18th-century bust of Washington, one finds the bold portrait of the first president facing left, his hair tied back with a bow in classical style, surrounded at the top by the word liberty, symbolizing the enduring ideals of the Republic, while just under his chin sits the motto, "In God We Trust." Officially added to many U.S. coins after the Civil War, but firmly mandated by federal law beginning in 1955 during a time of Cold War religious and ideological identity, beneath the bust lies the year 1974, signaling not only the period of minting but also placing the coin within a turbulent era of American history marked by the Watergate scandal, inflation, and shifts in consumer economics, all of which contributed to the coin's heavy circulation and relatively low numismatic value today, as few examples were purposefully saved in pristine condition by the general public. Most 1974 quarters were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, with no mint mark, and the Denver Mint, marked with a small d beneath the wreath on the reverse, while a limited number of high-grade proof versions were struck at the San Francisco Mint, bearing the S Mint mark and featuring sharply defined mirrors and frosted devices intended for collectors rather than everyday use. Turning to the reverse, one finds the iconic heraldic eagle, wings spread majestically, clutching a bundle of arrows to represent military readiness, while resting on an olive branch symbolizing peace, with United States of America arched across the top and the denomination quarter dollar below, all rendered in classical lettering reminiscent of Roman imperial inscriptions, a style chosen to reinforce solemn national dignity. While the typical worn 1974 quarter remains worth only its face value of 25 cents in circulation, uncirculated or mint state examples, especially high-grade mint state 65 or higher, can command values between a few dollars and over $30 depending on luster, strike quality, and absence of wear, with exceptionally rare error varieties such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or die cracks, fetching substantially higher prices among collectors specializing in minting anomalies. Despite its commonness, the 1974 quarter stands as a small but powerful artifact of American culture, a reminder of an era before digital transactions when physical coinage passed through millions of hands, jingled in pockets, clattered on vending machines, and served as a tangible emblem of national identity and trust in shared currency, with legends like Liberty and In God We Trust, declaring the philosophical and spiritual foundations upon which the United States presents itself not only to its citizens but to the world, an enduring declaration struck in metal and circulated across every state, from bustling cities to rural crossroads, uniting people through commerce and common symbolism. Even today, collectors and enthusiasts often rediscover such common-date coins in old jars or inherited rolls, only to realize that while it may not be rare in monetary terms, its true value lies in the story it carries, a blend of artistry, politics, religion, economics, and everyday life, embodied in a single small disc of metal stamped almost 500 million times, yet still meaningful as a relic of 20th-century American identity. Next top. The 1980 United States quarter dollar is a continuation of the long-running Washington Quarter Series, originally introduced in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, and by 1980 it had firmly established itself as the dominant denomination in American commerce, serving not only as legal tender but also as a cultural symbol carried in pockets, cash registers, toll booths, and arcade machines across the nation. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, This coin proudly bears the P mint mark, a relatively recent addition at the time, as Philadelphia coins had traditionally gone unmarked until 1980, making this year historically significant as the first time the P appeared on standard circulating quarters. Composed of a copper-nickel-clad alloy, featuring 75% copper and 25% nickel on the outer layers fused to a pure copper core, the coin weighs precisely 5.67 grams, spans 24.26 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge, a classic anti-counterfeiting measure inherited from earlier silver coinage. The obverse displays sculptor John Flanagan's famous left-facing bust of George Washington, based on Jean-Antoine Houdon's 18th-century neoclassical sculpture, with the commanding word Liberty arched boldly above his head, serving as a constant ideological banner of American independence, while the cherished motto, "In God We Trust," rendered just to the left of Washington's jawline, reflects the nation's mid-20th century reaffirmation of religious heritage during Cold War tensions. Beneath Washington lies the date, 1980, anchoring the coin in a dynamic era of U.S. history dominated by inflation, rising energy costs, the final years of the Carter administration, and a cultural shift toward modernization and digital technology, all of which contributed to heavy circulation of coinage as Americans relied more on physical currency than the electronic transactions common today. Flipping to the reverse, one finds the classic heraldic eagle, wings spread wide with noble authority, perched upon a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation, while beneath it lies an olive branch, expressing the perpetual hope for peace despite preparedness for conflict, and above this tableau curves the inscription, United States of America, with the denomination $quarter below, all executed in stately block lettering reminiscent of ancient monumental inscriptions to convey permanence and dignity. Over 635 million of these 1980 P quarters were minted, making them common in circulation today, and as a result most worn examples are worth only face value, yet high-grade, mint state, MS 65 or higher specimens, particularly those with strong luster, sharp strikes, and minimal bag marks, can sell for $10 to $50, while exceptional near-flawless MS 67-plus specimens certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC have been known to reach several $100s, proving that while common coins may seem ordinary, in pristine condition they become prized relics of mass production at its finest. Error collectors also search for fascinating anomalies such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, double dies, die cracks, and filled mint marks, any of which can dramatically increase desirability and value depending on severity and visibility. Beyond monetary worth, the 1980 P quarter encapsulates an entire era in miniature, a tangible record of American resilience and everyday life, passing through laundromats, payphones, gas pumps, and school lunch counters, silently bearing the national promises of liberty and "In God We Trust," ideals repeated billions of times across coinage yet rarely paused upon, reminding us that even the most ordinary piece of change is a work of engineering, history, art, and philosophy compressed into metal. To hold a 1980 P quarter is to touch a fragment of late 20th century America, a witness to decades of human exchange, a humble but enduring ambassador of national identity lasting far beyond the paper currency that wears and fades, proving that sometimes the smallest things carry the longest stories. Next up, the 1983 P United States of America Washington quarter, bearing the inscriptions Liberty at the top and In God We Trust to the left of George Washington's profile, is a fascinating coin not only for its face value but for the historical and numismatic context surrounding it. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the small P mint mark located just to the right of Washington's braid, the coin is composed of a copper nickel clad over a pure copper core, weighing 5.67 grams with a reeded edge and a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. Unlike many previous years, 1983 quarters are notably scarce in high-grade condition because no official U.S. mint sets were produced in 1982 or 1983, meaning collectors could not acquire pristine examples directly from packaged mint issues. Most of the 1983 P quarters entered everyday circulation immediately after minting, suffering from extensive wear, bag marks, and dull surfaces due to heavy use in commerce. As a result, finding a 1983 P quarter with a sharp strike, clean luster, and minimal abrasions, especially one graded mint state, MS 65 or higher, is significantly harder than with earlier or later modern quarters. Despite a large mintage exceeding 673 million, condition rarity drives collector demand. An ordinary circulated piece is worth face value, but high-grade certified examples can sell for tens or even hundreds of dollars, and exceptional specimens with full strike or high mint luster can command even more. Additionally, error enthusiasts seek out 1983 P quarters with off-center strikes, die clashes, double dies, or missing clad layers, some of which have sold for hundreds to over $1,000, making this otherwise common-looking coin a potential treasure in pocket change. The reverse features the heraldic eagle clutching a bundle of arrows atop an olive branch, a long-standing symbol of American strength and peace, encircled by the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. While most 1983 P quarters may seem ordinary, the combination of historical minting circumstances, lack of collector preservation, and modern condition scarcity elevates this coin to a respected place in contemporary numismatics. For anyone who finds one in a drawer, coin jar, or old collection, it is worth examining carefully, especially for luster, sharp lettering, and strong detail in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, as an unnoticed example might be worth far more than 25 cents. Next top. The 1984 United States of America Washington quarter, minted at the Denver Mint and marked by the bold D mint mark just to the right of George Washington's ponytail, is part of the long-running series that began in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of Washington's birth. Struck in copper-nickel-clad composition, a pure copper core sandwiched between outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel, this coin weighs 5.67 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge typical of U.S. quarters to deter early silver shaving and counterfeiting practices. The obverse displays Washington's left-facing profile, sculpted by John Flanagan, accompanied by the inscriptions Liberty at the top and In God We Trust to the left, with the year 1984 beneath his chin. The reverse retains the classic heraldic eagle clutching a bundle of arrows atop an olive branch, a symbolic balance of military strength and peace, surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. Although more than 546 million 1984 D quarters were produced, making it plentiful in raw circulation, the true interest lies in condition rarity. Most circulated pieces are only worth face value, but uncirculated or mint state graded examples, especially those in MS 65, MS 66, or higher, are significantly harder to find due to widespread commercial use. A sharply struck example with luster surfaces, minimal contact marks, and fully detailed eagle feathers can command premium collector value, often ranging from $20 to several $100s depending on grading certification. Even more desirable are rare error varieties, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, double die obverse, or missing clad layer coins where the copper core is exposed, some of which can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. The 1984 D quarter is also historically notable as part of an era when no silver was used in circulating U.S. coinage, yet its age now makes early clad issues increasingly nostalgic and collectible, bridging the gap between modern and vintage American coinage. For those discovering one in change or an old jar, it's worth examining under good lighting for sharp lettering, strong details in Washington's hair curls, and crisp eagle wings, as even a common-looking coin could conceal hidden value. While most examples remain humble pocket change, pristine survivors and fascinating mint errors make the 1984 D Washington quarter a compelling piece of everyday American history, ordinary at first glance, but potentially extraordinary in the right condition. Next top. The 1986 D United States quarter dollar, minted in Denver as indicated by the small d, mint mark located just to the right of George Washington's ponytail, is part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, which began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The obverse of the coin, designed by John Flanagan, prominently features the left-facing portrait of President George Washington with the inscriptions Liberty arching above his head and the national motto, "In God We Trust," positioned just left of his neckline. The year 1986 is engraved beneath the bust, completing the obverse message of patriotism and tradition. Unlike the silver quarters minted prior to 1965, the 1986 D quarter is made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, a pure copper core sandwiched between two cupronickel outer layers, resulting in a total weight of 5.67 grams, a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and a reeded edge consisting of 119 tiny grooves to deter historical practices of coin shaving. On the reverse, also designed by Flanagan, is the dignified image of a bald eagle with outstretched wings, perched atop a bundle of arrows symbolizing American military readiness, all resting above two olive branches representing the nation's desire for peace. The inscriptions United States of America and E pluribus unum, out of many one, are displayed above the eagle, with $quarter boldly stated below as the denomination. In terms of production, the Denver Mint struck an impressive total of 504,298,660 quarters in 1986, making it a common circulation issue, widely distributed across the country and used extensively in everyday commerce such as vending machines, toll booths, laundromats, and cash registers. As such, most surviving examples show varying degrees of wear, flattened hair strands, softened lettering, smooth eagle feathers, depending on their years of circulation. In average circulated condition, a 1986 D quarter typically holds a value of merely 25 cents, its face value, since billions of similar clad quarters remain in use today. However, uncirculated or mint state examples, especially those exhibiting strong luster and sharp strike details, may command modest premiums from collectors, generally ranging from $1 to $5 depending on grade, and potentially higher, up to $20 or more, for specimens certified MS 66 or above by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC. Rare varieties or errors such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, or double dies can also increase desirability among numismatists, though such anomalies remain less frequently encountered for this particular year. While the 1986 D Washington Quarter does not contain precious metal content and does not belong to a low-mintage series, it represents an important piece of late 20th century American coinage history, standing at the tail end of the heraldic eagle reverse era, which would later be replaced by the 50-state quarters program in 1999, transforming the quarter into a collectible cultural icon. Thus, even though a standard 1986 D quarter may not be exceptionally rare or valuable, it reflects a snapshot of American monetary tradition, combining utility, symbolism, and national pride through its inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, and E pluribus unum, phrases embedded deeply in the nation's identity. For collectors, historians, or simply curious holders who find one in their pocket change, the coin serves as a tangible reminder of a time before the flood of modern designs, when American coinage maintained a long-standing consistency for decades, echoing the strength and continuity of the United States itself. Next top. The 1994 D United States $quarter struck at the Denver Mint and identified by its small D mint mark situated just to the right of George Washington's ponytail, is a continuation of the long-standing Washington Quarter series initiated in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial birth of the nation's first president. Composed of a copper-nickel-clad alloy, featuring an inner core of pure copper encased between two outer layers of cupronickel, the coin weighs 5.67 grams, spans 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and possesses a reeded edge with approximately 119 grooves, originally designed as a safeguard against early practices of coin shaving. The obverse showcases the timeless portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, who modeled his rendering from the famous bust by French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon. Above the portrait arcs the bold inscription Liberty, while the national motto, In God We Trust, is nestled just left of Washington's profile, symbolizing America's deep-rooted spiritual and civic foundations. Below the bust is the issuance date, 1994, making the coin a reflection of early 1990s American economic and cultural identity. The reverse, also crafted by Flanagan, proudly displays a majestic bald eagle, wings spread wide in a symbol of protection and dominance, perched atop a bundle of arrows representing the nation's readiness for defense, while nestled beneath is a pair of intertwined olive branches, expressing the perpetual desire for peace even amidst military preparedness. Surrounding the design are the inscriptions United States of America and E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many one, conveying unity among diversity, with quarter dollar anchoring the base as the declared denomination. During 1994, the Denver Mint produced approximately 880 million Washington quarters, making the 1994 D issue widely circulated and common in everyday commerce. These coins were routinely used in parking meters, vending machines, arcade cabinets, toll booths, laundromats, and retail exchanges, embedding them deeply into the daily lives of millions of Americans during the mid-1990s. Because of such heavy use, most surviving specimens today show varying degrees of circulation wear, ranging from softening of Washington's hair details and flattening of facial contours on the obverse, to smoothing of wing and feather textures on the eagle reverse. As a consequence, in typical circulated condition, the 1994 D quarter carries a market value of just 25 cents, equal to its face value. However, uncirculated or mint-state specimens, especially those retaining strong luster and displaying sharp strike quality, can hold modest collector value, typically selling in the $1 to $5 range, with higher-end certified pieces graded MS, 66 or above by PCGS or NGC, sometimes fetching $20 to $50 depending on eye appeal and rarity of grade. In rare cases, minting errors and die varieties such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, or possible doubling in lettering or mint mark can significantly increase desirability among specialized numismatists, with dramatic errors sometimes selling for tens or even hundreds of dollars, depending on severity and visual uniqueness. Although the 1994 D quarter is not composed of silver nor considered scarce, it nonetheless occupies a meaningful place within pre-statehood Washington quarters, representing one of the last few years before the monumental transformation of the series beginning in 1999 with the launch of the 50-state quarters program. As such, it stands at the crossroads of traditional U.S. coinage design and modern commemorative innovation, bridging the gap between numismatic familiarity and artistic evolution. To the casual pocket change discoverer, it may appear as just another coin, but to historians, collectors, and observant citizens, every detail, from the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and E pluribus unum, to the enduring visage of Washington, serves as a compact testament to American identity, resilience, and continuity. Even the most common quarter, like the 1994 D, carries within it the legacy of millions of hands it has passed through, the unseen stories of transactions big and small, and the powerful symbolism of a nation stamped into metal, designed to last for generations.